Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to review the deep learning in Python track from DataCamp. Now this is my profile and I have finished already the data scientist with Python. I'll let you know why it's telling me you 95%. I already finished this one, and I already finished machine learning scientist with Python, and I already reviewed it on my channel. Now I'm going to talk about the deep learning in Python track. Now here, if you can see the deep learning in Python track, it's completed, and this is my certificate. We have only 20 hours, and there are only 5 courses in this track. I mean, now before we judge if it's suitable or not, or if it's worth paying and studying or not, let's just go and see what topics that should be covered in deep learning track. Now before we go there, now we all know that deep learning is a branch of machine learning, and machine learning is a branch of AI, and you cannot learn deep learning immediately unless you learn machine learning. So if you are willing to become a deep learning practitioner or researcher, and you want to learn deep learning from DataCamp, I would highly recommend that you guys first go and take the machine learning track. Now if you go to the machine learning track here, now it's deep learning with Python, so the machine learning should be also with Python. Now it's telling you that it should be with Python, but I do not see any course that tells me introduction to Python, intermediate to Python. It's just immediately started with supervised learning with scikit-learn, which is a package in Python, and then unsupervised learning in Python. So there are no introductory courses in Python in machine learning scientist. So that means that this track also isn't good? No. One thing you should know about DataCamp, you need to go step by step and follow the sequence. Let me just explain it to you in PowerPoint. Here we have machine learning path. Now these topics should be covered in any path that teaches you machine learning. If it's a machine learning in Python, then it should be introduction to Python course, and then Python object oriented, and then Python data structure. If it's machine learning with R, introduction to R, data frames in R, and whatever. So because I know Python, so I'm gonna say with Python. So the machine learning path should cover all these. Should give me an introduction to Python course, which is like if, loop, functions, data types, and all those stuff. And then it should teach me Python object oriented, and it should be after this course, because you cannot learn object oriented unless you learn the fundamentals, which is, you know, functions, if, loops, and stuff like this. And then Python data structure should be after the object oriented. They already put this sequence. And then I should learn about analyzing the data using Python, pandas, and all the packages that we use. And then in data visualization, they should teach me matplotlib, seaborn, bouquet. Okay, wait. And then we have bouquet. And these are all packages that are used in data visualization in Python. And then we have data manipulation, which is data wrangling, data cleaning, data munging. They're all the same. And then since we are learning machine learning, there should be courses in statistics, linear algebra, calculus, and probability. And then they start teaching us about supervised learning and their algorithms, which is regression, classification. And regression, we have linear regression. Classification, we have logistic regression, and so on. And then they should teach us in unsupervised learning and their algorithms. And then at least there should be projects, or if there are no projects, they should teach us how to solve projects on Kaggle. And then artificial neural network is one of the algorithms in machine learning, and deep learning is basically all about neural networks. So you should know about a neural network before you start learning deep learning. NLP and big data, okay, fine, we can put it here, but these, in my opinion, these should be covered in machine learning path. Now if you go to DataCamp, the first thing you want to notice that there are not these things and these things. The first 7, introduction to Python, Python object-oriented, the first 7 steps, they are not here. They immediately started with supervised learning. Now in short, because I don't want to talk a lot, I'll tell you what to do. First of all, if you want to learn deep learning, which is the title of our video, you want to learn deep learning using Python from DataCamp, the first thing you should do is that you enroll in Data Scientist with Python track. Why, you may ask? I'll let you know. Introduction to Python, intermediate to Python, and then they will give you a skill assessment. A skill assessment basically means that whatever you learned from these 2 courses, now let's just test what you learn. They give you a bunch of questions, you answer those, and then it gives you score. Now I didn't complete, that's why it's still telling me 1%. And after that, there is a project. You can find projects, all the projects here, but they do put some projects and a skill assessment in the middle, which is nice. And every time you take courses, they give you a skill assessment and a project to apply whatever you learn. So the data scientist within Python track contains 23 courses in 88 hours, and they, as I said, they keep updating. I already finished this one like a couple of months ago, and they already had a new improvement. It's telling me to click here, so it gives me the new courses and the new improvements in this track. So you finish the data scientist with Python track and take your time, maybe like 6-7 months, whatever it takes to you, but these are the fundamentals, guys. After this one, you're gonna go to the machine learning track. If you don't understand some stuff here, you won't understand the machine learning track, and you won't understand the deep learning track. Okay, so the first thing you should do, you take the data scientist with Python track. At the end of data scientist with Python track, you're going to see that there are courses which is supervised learning with the scikit-learn, unsupervised learning in Python, and stuff like this, which are the first 2 courses in machine learning with Python track. So step number 1, take the data scientist in Python track. Step number 2, take the machine learning scientist with Python track. Step number 3, take the deep learning in Python track. Now we are in deep learning in Python track, and if you guys can see, we have only 5 courses, and there are almost the same title: Introduction to Deep Learning in Python, which is basically an introductory course for deep learning in general using Python, regarding if it's TensorFlow or Keras, but they're telling you they're gonna use Keras. And then we have the same thing, but this time they're explaining it in TensorFlow, and they're explaining TensorFlow in details. And then there's a deep learning, but this time is PyTorch. Let me tell you guys, if you want to learn deep learning, you either learn it with PyTorch or Keras. These are the 2 most popular packages or framework available right now. So here we have Keras, and then we have advanced Keras. Now before we deep dive in these courses, we should know what topics that should be covered in deep learning path. Now I don't have any slides here, but I do have a very nice book that I used when I was studying for my master's degree. This is one of the best books. They are already updating this book. It's going to be released next year from Manning Publishing. This course is Deep Learning with Python by Francois Cholet, which is the founder of Keras package. And the way he wrote the book, guys, is amazing, amazing. It's not like an academic book, it's all math and stuff, and it's so complicated. No. It's like someone is telling a story. So if you want to learn deep learning and you're not that much tech savvy and an academic guy and just want to learn in a beautiful way, I highly recommend this book. Now, let's just go to the table of contents here on the left side. We can see that this book is about a bunch of parts, and then we have chapters. And part number 1, we have fundamentals of deep learning. Now, just like any book in deep learning, they should tell you what is a deep learning. And before you start deep dive in the deep learning, this is one of the best chapters, chapter number 2, that explains the math scalars, vectors, matrices, and stuff like this. If you don't understand any of these things, I would highly recommend you guys go to the Khan Academy or any other YouTube channel and learn the fundamentals. Okay, and then move to chapter number 3. Don't say I'm gonna ignore it. No, guys, do not ignore. And then it's gonna start with neural network, because basically deep learning is a bunch of neural networks in different forms, and it's gonna dissect the neural network. Everything explained in details. What are the layers? What are models? What are loss functions? Keras, TensorFlow, Theano, and CNTK. Basically, right now it's all Keras and TensorFlow and PyTorch. The way I know. And then start giving you in details on what is the GPU, how it's used, and classifying, and some project and stuff. But in chapter number 4, it's gonna give you fundamentals of machine learning. One thing you should know, that you cannot learn deep learning unless you learn machine learning. I'm talking in general, not by just DataCamp. No, in general, you cannot learn deep learning unless you learn machine learning. And that's why in every deep learning book, they either gonna have a whole chapter for machine learning as a crash course, or they're gonna start giving you in details. And if you didn't learn machine learning, I would highly recommend you guys go and read and learn machine learning, and then you learn deep learning. In DataCamp, as we saw, if you go immediately to the machine learning with scientist track here, they're gonna start with supervised learning and all the algorithms here, and at the end they're gonna start explaining neural network, and then they're gonna give you an introductory course about deep learning, but and image processing in it. But in deep learning, they're gonna deep dive and explain everything. But in general, I would highly recommend guys learn machine learning first, and take your time, and then learn deep learning. In part number 2, we have deep learning in practice. We have something called deep learning for computer vision, like in Tesla, the auto drive feature in Tesla cars. These are one of the applications of computer vision in deep learning. We have in text and NLP, and then we have chapter number 7, advanced deep learning and generative deep learning and stuff like this. So now from chapter 1, what is deep learning, till chapter 6, these are the topics that should be covered in any deep learning track. And chapter number 2, which is the math, is very, very, very important. Now, if you guys can see here in deep learning, let me just open the course, Introduction to Deep Learning in Python. Here they're gonna give you basics of neural network, which is kind of like this one, the anatomy of neural network here. First look at neural network. They were here. Yeah, anatomy of neural network. So I already took this track, and I'm telling you guys, it does cover pretty much everything I told you from chapter 1 till chapter 6, but it does not cover chapter 2, which is the math. These things, unfortunately, they are not like in details, but in general, yeah, they are covered. But like a whole course or a whole chapters for the math, it's not available, unfortunately, till now on DataCamp. And this thing is important, but overall, they did cover everything. So now I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5. The reason I'm giving it 1 point less, because the math, guys, I cannot stress enough that math is very, very important. That is why I always recommend my students to learn deep learning from books and articles and research papers. But again, if you don't like reading books and you want to learn using DataCamp and boot camps, online boot camps, you can check DataCamp. First, again, take the data science in Python track, and then machine learning in Python track, and then deep learning in Python track. And you're gonna have a very good solid foundation. Thank you so much, guys. I already reviewed other tracks on my channel. Please check them out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and use the link in the description below to register to DataCamp. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye bye.